welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already read the title of today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a story time how my dad passed away. I apologize in advance if I have to walk away from the camera or start crying, but I won't hold you guys up much longer in this intro. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. On March 19th, 2014, I was 15 at the time. My dad came to pick me up from school early because I had a doctor's appointment, and because I'm a daddy's girl and I got what I wanted. So he looked at me that morning and was just kind of like, he was like, do you want me to come get you from school? Because need I mind y'all, let me start here. My doctor's appointment wasn't until like 4 o'clock. I get out of school at 3:15. My dad came and picked me up at like 2:15. He was like, I can either come get you when you get out of school, he was like, or I can come get you early and we can hang out before your doctor's appointment. And I was like, shoot, come get me early. What? Why would I want to sit here and stay here? I was in 8th grade at the time. That was March of my 8th grade year. So, you know, as usual, he came, picked me up, and like, he was like, are you hungry? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, there's food in the house. And I was just kind of looking at him like, but you just asked me if I was hungry. You're not gonna sit here and ask me if I'm hungry and then like not give me something outside. Don't tell me there's food in the house. So me being a brat and me being me, I was like, well, I just want a donut. And he was like, do you want a donut from Dunkin' Donuts or you just want a donut? And I was like, no, like I want a good, like a real baked donut. I don't know how Dunkin' Donuts makes their donuts, but in my neighborhood, like we have like these really like nice bakeries that be selling like, what's that thing called? Like they be selling, is it concha? It's something like that. I don't want to say it wrong, but it's like really like good, like sweet bread. So yeah, this little bakery just like literally does like baked goods, like 5 baked goods. So, you know, we're walking down the street, finna go get a donut like any other day. We make it to the bakery, you know, my dad sits in there and he kicks it. Like it really felt like it was any other regular day. We walked out of the bakery and it was almost as if like, obviously I'm not gonna sit here and say like he knew it was gonna happen, but it was almost like as if like he knew, like it was weird. He looked at me while we were walking and I'm sitting here and I'm eating my donut and he was like, if I ever pass away, don't be sad. Just know I'm happy. Oh God, here we go. And I just kind of looked at him and my next words to him was like, well, you're not going to go anytime soon. Because, you know, like, obviously to all kids, like, our parents are superheroes. But, you know, to us as girls, like, that father-daughter bond is so different. And it's always been me and my dad. So it was just like me looking at him kind of like, well, you're never finna leave me. At least no time soon. So we're walking down the street. And this guy is like following us. And I won't necessarily say, I will say following us in a sense like of going in the same direction as us. But it became weird when it was like we've already gone, I want to say a good 4 blocks towards our home. And yet here he is still behind us. Could be a coincidence. Maybe he is just walking in the same direction as us. So we're walking and we get by this Chinese restaurant and the guy walks past us, but as he's walking past us, he like brushes up against my shoulder. Like his arm rubs my shoulder and he kind of looks back at me like, and looks me up and down. So my dad, probably in my dad's head at that time, was like, okay, maybe like you're taking up like too much of the sidewalk, like thinking about me. Cause I do that. When I walk down the street, y'all, I walk down the street and like just walk down the street. Like I'm not moving for nobody. So my dad being a dad was like, hold on, stop. and had put me behind him, like thinking like, okay, like hold on, like you're in the way, like let me move you. The dude takes like 2 to 3 more steps in front of us, turns around and looks at my dad and goes, "What?" And says, but the way he said what, oh my God, y'all, I can't even repeat the word because I don't even think YouTube. He said the N-word, but not nigga. He said that one. And my dad just kind of looked at him and was like, no, we don't really want no trouble. Like, Then he's sitting there looking at my dad, and they're like, ooh, going back and forth, back and forth. My dad's really right there, like I'm not gonna fight you. And then all of a sudden the guy just starts hitting my dad in the chest, swinging, like not even trying to hit him in the face, like in the chest. So my dad, being him, fighting him back. They're swinging, like fighting each other. Now they're like in the middle of the street. Keep in mind, I'm 15. There is like, in my head, realistically, nothing I can do. Like that whole situation to this day, like that's the most helpless I've ever felt in my life. Because it was like, I can't help you. Like the only thing I can do is pick up my phone and call 911. I picked up my phone, I called 911, never showed up the whole time they were standing there, by the way, fighting in the middle of the street. And the shittiest part about it is that the police district in my neighborhood, from where the Chinese shop is to where the police district is, that's like 6 blocks. They're within a 6 blocks radius of each other. Maybe 10, I'll give it to them. Maybe 10 blocks. But you mean to tell me, for that whole time that they were fighting, nobody ever showed up? I called 911 twice. No one ever showed up. So they just stopped fighting. And my dad was like, come on, like grab me. And we like were walking through the alley behind the Chinese shop. And the guy is following us still. And he's like, you effing N-words, and go back to Africa, and I'm gonna follow you home and burn your effing house down. You fuck. Like he was like, you effing N-words. Like, I mean, just letting that word fly. Like, do you hear me, y'all? Like, that man was letting that word fly. My dad was breathing already heavy. Like, my dad was 58 at the time, 59. And he's a diabetic. I don't remember necessarily what stage of his diabetes he was in, but I was very much aware of how much medication he took throughout the day, and my father had a pacemaker, which was due for a renewal at the time. So as we're going up through this alley, it just goes silent. Like the guy just disappears now. Like now he's not behind us anymore. We get to the end of the alley, and there is this auto body shop. Like a car, like, you know, where mechanics work at. And their fence is cut out. So, like, you could just literally walk through, like, their parking lot to get back onto the main street, right? So we are cutting through, here we go. We're cutting through we get to their parking lot. And my dad goes, I can't breathe. And one of the mechanic guys was like, oh, don't sit on that, because my dad was going to sit on a box. He was like, let me go get you a chair. When he turned around, I'm sorry, y'all. When he turned around to go get my dad a chair, that's when my dad went to collapse and fall over. Mind you, called the police twice already, maybe like 15 minutes ago. Never showed up. I caught him and I don't like crying on camera. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world sometimes, but I have to. I caught him me, and as I'm looking at him, his eyes are rolling to the back of his head. His tongue is flaring around. So in my head, it's like, okay, you're having a heart attack, but your pacemaker is going to help you. Like that, in my head at 15, like that's what a pacemaker is for. Like they're supposed to help you. The guy, one of the mechanics is sitting there trying to talk to him like, oh, like, sir, like, talk to me. Like, help is on the way. Finally, now we're about to get an ambulance and the fire department and the police. They pull up to the auto body shop and they're like, what happened? What happened? And I'm like sitting there crying because I'm 15, I'm freaking out. And they're looking at me like, no, we're not going to do this. You can't sit here and cry. I'm looking at them like, what you mean I can't cry? Do you not? Y'all don't see my pops laying on the floor in the middle of a parking lot and you finna sit here and tell me don't cry, right? Cool. What's your dad's name? I tell him like his name is Michael, mine's Mashara, like woo. And as I'm sitting here explaining to them what's going on, the one police officer, he looks at me and he goes, who did it? And y'all, I cannot make this shit up. I can't make it up. The man was standing across the street from the auto body shop, just staring. He crosses the street, walks into the parking lot, walks up to me while I'm standing next to the police, and goes, I hope he's not dead. I hope I didn't kill him. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, do you see my dad? Do you see him? Woo. So then, like, me at 15, I'm rowdy. Like, hold on, you got my pops and me all the way twisted like a pretzel on a Monday morning. Like, no. Gee, the police get to handcuffing him. Now he's spiraling out of control on them. They put me into the back of a squad car. We're on our way to St. Francis Hospital. Anybody in the city of Chicago, even though St. Francis technically isn't in Chicago, but anybody in the city of Chicago could tell you from St. Francis to almost any other hospital does not have a trauma unit. And they also are not prepared for certain... They're just not prepared sometimes. And it's not their fault, obviously. These men and women are heroes, and I appreciate the people who work in the medical field because I know at the end of the day that you guys try your hardest to do it is what you can, and it's not your fault that you are deprived of the materials that, and honestly, I feel like that you deserve to have in your hospital so that you can be more prepared to help people when stuff like that goes on. But that is a topic for another day. We get to the hospital, and first of all, I'm at the hospital for about an hour by myself. I had called my sister. My big sister works all the way out in the suburbs, so she had to come from the suburbs to the city to technically another suburb, kind of almost borderline of another suburb, to get to me. My aunt owns a salon underneath my building, so she was relatively more close. I had an uncle that came, and then my mom was on her way home. But my mom used to work downtown, in downtown Chicago at the time. So it was going to take her about an hour herself to get to me. So I'm in the hospital. They had put me in a little waiting room. And I was sitting on the floor. I remember I still had my coat on and my backpack. Like, I refused to take all of that off. And I'm on the floor in this little waiting room all by myself. And I'm like praying. Telling my grandma, like, you can't do this to me. Like telling God, like, I don't know what I need to do to, like, prove to you that, like, I can't go through this. But, like, I can't. Like, just praying, though, just, like, please, like, talk to him, like, tell him, like, he can't leave me, like, he can't do this to me, because I am a daddy's girl, and I always will be, here, whether him being here physically or not. But it's like it's always been Eminem. Literally. That's what people used to call me and my dad. Michael and Mashar. Like Eminem. It always was us. So I think though, after I got done praying, I knew he was gone. And I just feel like as a kid growing up, you just have these special connections with your parents. And it's like, no matter how many times y'all bump heads, no matter how many times y'all get into it, obviously those are still your parents at the end of the day. And you obviously still love them. Like, you gave me, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you two. You know what I mean? But I think I knew he was gone before anybody even got to the hospital with me. I think I knew he was gone before anybody got to the hospital with me. As soon as my sister and my aunt and I think my uncle came, they walked in the room. I'm sorry if y'all just heard a baby cry. My mom nannies. They walked in the room and they were just like we tried everything that we could, but like, he's gone. And I honestly didn't start crying in that moment because I don't think it registered with me all the way necessarily in that moment until my mom got there, and then they were like, oh, do you want us to like bless his body? Like, we could have like the hospital priest come and like bless over him and whatnot. So my mom was like, yeah, like, of course. I think it registered with me that we were leaving there and he wasn't coming home with us when I walked into the room and there he was. Just laying there with the hospital gown on and a tube in his mouth. And the detectives looked at us and was like, you can't touch him? Because they had to make sure, you know, they went over all their like procedures and whatnot, but they were like, you can't touch him. But I didn't care. I laid my head right on his chest and I told him that I was so sorry and that, you know, like, I am not making this video and sitting here crying in front of this camera to be like, woe is me, and have sympathy for me and please, like, just, oh, you know, baby me. I think I'm sitting down and talking about this because, for one, I never talk about this. I don't ever. And for two, if there's anybody out there who has ever lost your mom, your dad, obviously it's different feelings. The relationships are different because these are our parents. But I want you to know, like, and just scratch that, hold on. Not even just like your mom or your dad, your grandma, your aunt, uncle, like whoever has raised you, losing someone who wakes up every morning for you, does everything that they do for you, that's like a really shitty feeling. Because I know for a lot of people in the back of your heads, it's like, but I never got to repay you for everything you've done for me. What I will tell you is, don't ever feel like, how do I say it? Don't ever feel like you are a disappointment and that you've let them down, because you're still here. You're watching this, so you're still here. So you're obviously doing something right. You could tell yourself a million times you're not doing right in your head, but remind yourself that you're still here, and you're still here for a reason, because One day you could have woke up and decided you didn't want to be here anymore, and I'm proud of you for still being here. Another thing I will say is that, in my own obviously biased opinion, I think father-daughter bonds are extremely important and magical. And I would give anything, obviously, up in this world to be able to get picked up from school one more time. And obviously, I would do anything in this world to have looked to go back and have looked at him and been like, no, let's just go home. But I can't, because sometimes that's just how the universe spins. And there's nothing we can do about it, and it sucks. I'm not going to keep you guys hold up in this video much longer, but I just want to say, Daddy, if you hear me, I want you to know that I am so grateful for all the time that we spent together. And thank you for teaching me how to be a woman, in a sense. Obviously, I have my mom, and my mom has been my rock for these last 7 years. But I just want to say my dad had really taught me how to be a lady and how to, carry myself as a woman. And I'm forever grateful for it. This man was homeless up until the time before he passed away. I found my dad sleeping in a box one morning on my way to school. And you know what he did? He got up and walked me to school. And I think what we tend to forget with our parents is that they really do love us unconditionally. And you're going to bump heads with your parents all the time. But just know that they literally get up and do everything for us. Some of us. I understand some people, your relationship with your parents are different. So I'm really only more so speaking for me in a sense. But yeah. I was and still am the most luckiest kid in the world to have had the dad that I did. And in all honesty, there's nothing I would change. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to always comment, and subscribe. And like always, stay kind to one another. And I'll see y'all in my next video. Peace. Louie, Louie.